Guys, this is Jack. Sorry this is up late. I had school today for the first day, so that's what I was doing yesterday. So this week's topic is trans in the media. First question is, how do we feel trans individuals are portrayed in the media, both as fictional and real-life individuals? When I think about fictional characters, what comes to mind is a lot of times transgender individuals are used as comic crutches, kind of. I remember jokes even on progressive shows like Frasier growing up where they would make fun of people who had transitioned or say, well, they broke up because he's a she now. Whereas when I look at them now, I'm kind of like, ooh, that was still kind of not okay because it was like they were using it derogatory as if being trans was a derogatory thing. The depiction that most comes to mind when I think of specific fictional characters would be Max Moira from The L Word. Max is a trans man from The L Word, and during the initial stages of his transition, he was doing unmonitored hormone replacement therapy. He was taking very high doses, which the show wrote made him emotionally unstable and abusive. Obviously, that's a very negative depiction of a trans man, and I think is probably to blame for some of the fears about testosterone and anger. Obviously, testosterone is a steroid. However, testosterone doesn't create stuff that isn't already there. If you might like for we as trans men, we have no more testosterone in our blood levels in our bodies than cis men do when we're on hormone replacement therapy. And not all cis men are angry. So it's kind of the same thing. Not all trans men are angry. If you might feel like I've noticed I feel anger differently, but it's not stuff I can't handle with after some coping skill preparation. And also in the sense that it's not more intense, it's not harder to deal with. It just feels slightly different to me, I guess. Another thing is people assume that the drag community is an accurate representation of the trans community. Obviously, there is crossover, and some people who are drag performers or crossdressers identify as trans as well. However, assuming shows like RuPaul, super dramatic, lavish drag performances, that's not how most trans people live, as far as I know. A lot of us just live much more or less normal, mundane lives. So obviously, the media assuming that the drag community is an accurate representation of all the trans communities, it's an ignorant choice, I suppose, in that it could easily be solved by looking into the word choices that are being used. And, I don't know. Anyway, so another example of real life trans people being kind of put down by the media is Thomas Beatty. I'm not sure if anyone remembers that case. I think it was 2006. I might be wrong. It was about a trans man who his wife couldn't carry children, so he did it for them, and now they have 3 kids. He went on Oprah. I actually used a clip of the show in my class last year to talk about crossovers between reproductive health care and trans health care. Basically, they were painting him as a freak, the pregnant man, the freak. That's not cool. People were responding positively to it in a joking way, but it still was painting the community as if we're completely abnormal. And I've heard of other trans men carrying babies, and that paints that entire experience as if it's a freakish thing too, and that's not cool either. Let's see. So I suppose that the media, I feel, portrays trans individuals not necessarily. I mean, there are some sources that I believe are actively transphobic, but in general, I feel there's just a general lack of information, and therefore that leads to ignorant or uneducated media portrayals, mostly because people don't know what's going on and how to react to it, or how to, I don't know. It's outside the comfortability zone of most people to question gender boundaries even. Trans role models. I don't really have specific trans role models that are famous. When Chelsea Manning came out recently this last week as a trans woman, I was happy for her. The media coverage has been dicey for her at best. There's a lot of misgendering, a lot of using the wrong name. So if you know anything about the Chelsea Manning case, look it up if you don't. It's related to the WikiLeaks event. So whenever you talk about her, please use the right names and pronouns, or name and pronouns. Anyway, public service announcement over. The only trans person I can specifically say is a role model of mine is my best friend Zoe. Zoe's a genderqueer individual. She was male assigned at birth, and she is one of the most ballsy people I know. in that she will go out and she's not transitioning, but she will go out and wear whatever she wants, regardless of the fact that the area we're in is kind of hyper conservative and kind of anti, I guess, not so happy about the LGBT and community and stuff. It's not a horrible area. It's just we're kind of near a very, very military area, and so that kind of trickles down into the community. But she is a role model to me because she was the first person who got me questioning gender boundaries for both myself and for like the gender binary system. Um, she also is my role model in that she is one of the kindest people I know and always is helpful to everyone. She's been so respectful of me during my transition, and she's the first person who used my name, Jack. I guess she's my role model because she has the balls to be herself, and I want to be able to be as brave as her. Um, Last part: how do we try to present ourselves in response to how we see trans people being portrayed? The main thing I try to do is, because a lot of the portrayal is that, especially with trans men, that going on testosterone makes you angry and volatile. Um, I try to present that I'm an emotionally stable, sane, complex person. Um, I've been completely safe in my transition, following standards of care, making sure I didn't do anything doctors didn't want me to do, made sure my mental health and emotional health were okay, and that I had a good support system, or I had enough coping skills to deal with until I built up a good support system. Um, People, like, if you look in, like, a lot of anti-trans men specifically, for example, like stuff, um, people push the idea of trenders, or that this is an impulsive choice that young people are making, and then it will fuck them up forever. Um, I've seen a lot of that everywhere. The idea of trenders. Um, I'm I had problems with being impulsive when I was a teen, but I kind of grew out of it and stabilized. And it's actually kind of helped me to want to portray myself to people as stable and not impulsive, simply because I don't know, how much of a roller coaster ride people and trans men in the media are depicted as being. I also try to present, this is the last thing I promise, that I'm more complex than just being a trans guy. Obviously, being trans is a major part of my identity. I want to work in the field of trans people and gender nonconforming individuals. However, I also have other things about me, other things in my life. I have hobbies. I like tattoos. I like piercings. I like horror movies. I'm a writer. I play piano. I play blah, blah, blah. By presenting to the community the idea that I'm more than just a trans person, I think it also gets people over that fear that trans people are just obsessed with their gender and they're only out for themselves and all they think about is trans things. Because obviously, because of dysphoria, we think about trans stuff a lot. However, we know that there's more to our identities than that. People are made up of more than just their parts. You're a sum of the wholes. Like my tattoo. This is backwards here, but it says anatomy. Broken down, and we're the sum of our parts. So by presenting to the community that there's more to me than just my gender and my transition, I'm hoping to help to inspire other people to develop other areas of their lives besides just focusing on their genders as well. I think that also helps with dysphoria in that it can distract you for a little bit. So those are my thoughts about trans in the media. Sorry that this is a little late. I have to go shower now because I don't want these hairs to keep itching. And I'll see you guys next week.